What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? We got another show. We are ready to go. I'm hyped up. The hype is killing me. Let's get to it. What's up, everybody? 49ers throwback. What's up? Petersburg Cavaliers. Let's go. I'm excited. You know what? I'm just so ready for Sunday. All this hype, talking the media now. Oh my God. Of course, the Niners are the underdogs again, as always. Petersburg says I'm number one. Appreciate you. Let's go, Nia. Maxim says, when are the Niners heading out to the airport for Philly? Not sure because they got practice tomorrow. I'm sure they're going to leave out sometime tomorrow after practice, maybe in the middle of the day. I don't know exactly what time, but they will be heading out tomorrow. But man, oh man, I hope they have a good flight out there. It's a pretty decent flight. We got the Jerry Rice jersey for those asking. Um, Invite Rohan. Actually, I have Rohan coming on the show. Funny you may ask. I gave him the link, so he will be on. Um, Extremely rare Rohan L. What's the L? What are we talking about? What's going on? Oh, Wells says he was watching Rohan's live, and my guy said we're losing to the Eagles. Funny you might say that because we're going to have Rohan on the stream tonight. We're going to have to ask him about that. Are you kidding me? You know what? This show tonight is about the 49ers being counted out by the media. And wouldn't you guess, tonight's guest host is going to be someone counting out the 49. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Everybody in the media is counting us out. Can you believe it? I mean, obviously you can because it's nothing new for us. Nothing new for us. It is what it is. We all understand. It's what the media likes to do. They're counting us out. Everybody on ESPN this morning, get up except Bart Scott. He's picking the Niners. It says 65.3% of the ESPN analytics are picking the Eagles. 34.7 are picking the Niners. That's a big discrepancy. I mean, 65%. Obviously, the Eagles are the favorite. It's the safe pick. And then on NFL Network, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 10 analysts are picking the Eagles over the Niners. That's crazy. Of course, Adam Rank is picking against us, but every single media member wants to sit here and discredit the Niners. It's crazy. And I get it. The Eagles, okay, they're the number one seed. They look dominant. They looked great against the Giants. But the thing about it is the 49ers look great against very similar common opponents, right? They both played the Commanders, and the 49ers, they beat the Commanders. The Commanders, at one point of the season, beat the Eagles, and they kind of put the blueprint on how to stop the Eagles. They ran the ball. They ran it again. The Eagles had to go and get more defensive linemen to help them out, interior linemen. They went and signed Ndamukong Suh. So honestly, if they didn't get beat by the Commanders, their whole team would have been different, right? Their whole season might have been different. They had to go and fix their D line because they were panicking, like, people know how to beat us. It did improve a little bit. Like their run defense did get better at the end of the season, but it's still not top tier in the league. So the Niners can run the ball. Now, another thing is I saw a lot of people on Twitter and saying this, like Eagles fans, saying the Niners barely beat the Cowboys. The Niners beat the Cowboys by 7 in a playoff game, a huge game, a playoff game. The Eagles beat them by 9 points in Week 6. Cooper Rush was the quarterback, and he threw 3 interceptions that game. The Cowboys still had a chance to win that game. Cooper Rush, quarterback, 3 picks. Like that's a big difference than what the Niners did in a playoff game. And also, the Eagles lost to the Cowboys when they didn't have Jalen Hurts in there, right? Gardner Minshew was their quarterback. And the Eagles fans are saying, we had our backup quarterback. The 49ers are on their third-string quarterback. They're on their third-string quarterback. There's no excuse. The 49ers haven't lost with their third string quarterback. The Eagles lost with Gardner Minshew, and that's their excuse. If your team is so great, you should be able to beat teams like the Dallas Cowboys. The Niners beat Dallas Cowboys with their third string quarterback. Beat a lot of teams with their third string quarterback. It's kind of crazy. Burt Reynolds says Donkey Kong Sue. That's my nickname from Donkey Kong Sue. You watch the show a lot. Russell says Kyle has proven that he will abandon the passing game and run the ball. And that is the key. You have to run the ball. 49ers have to stick to the script. Run the ball, pound it down their throats, run the ball, hit them in the mouth, and let the defense do their thing, put you in good field position. And once they stack that box, you got to be able to throw it. And I feel Kyle trusts Purdy. We've seen it. He trusts Purdy. He trusts him so much. Trusts him with his life. More than I've seen him trust a lot of people that have come through the San Francisco 49ers as quarterback. It's just my opinion. Sports Dude says he doesn't run the ball when we need to, though. It annoys me. I feel like this year has been one of his best years in terms of calling plays and setting up the offense. Like I really feel that Kyle's done a great job this year. He's definitely he's a finalist for head coach of the year, and he should be very well coach season. I mean, again, they're on their third quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, not just any third quarterback, the last pick of the draft, a rookie quarterback, mind you, and they're in the NFC Championship, and that's why I can't take people seriously when they say, "Oh, well, Philadelphia lost to the Cowboys. They had Gardner Minshew." So, Gardner Minshew is not a rookie. He's been in this league before. He's been a starter, a pretty solid starter, if you ask me. He was a serviceable player. And they went out and they lost to the Cowboys. They could not stop the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys put up 40 points on that defense. They put up 40 points. 40 points. The Niners would never. They did not allow the Cowboys to score 40 points on that defense. The one team that was able to come out and put up a lot of points on the 49ers and really kind of hurt them was the Chiefs. But the Niners were hurting. Wasn't their full squad. And that was the game that kind of turned things around. I think they all looked at the mirror collectively and said, hey, we got to do something about this. We have to make a change, and it starts right now. And obviously, CMC had just came on the team. He was like a fresh addition. He really was still feeling it out. After that, CMC became starting running back, and they've been on a tear. Changed it. And I think the defense looked at themselves in the mirror and say, hey, we got to do better than this. Hunter says, I miss Jimmy. We need him as a backup. Well, unfortunately, Jimmy won't be as the backup this week. He's not practicing this week, and he will not be available. So Josh Johnson still be your backup quarterback. Wells? You want to see the back of the jersey? We'll show it to you a little later. This is the stitch. This is the author. I've had this jersey for many. This is an old jersey. I've had this for many years. This is a classic. I've kept it in pretty good shape over the years. I must say so myself. I love this jersey. CMC is going to play hurt. Sports Dude says, listen, CMC is not going to miss this game for the world. He's not going to miss this game at all. He came today to the media and they asked him, and he kept it simple. He kept it. They said, any chance of you not playing on Sunday? He said, 0 chance. That was it. End quote. 0 chance. Don't ask me anymore. He's got a calf issue. Yes, he's got a calf contusion, a bruised calf. He's not going to miss this game. Big-time players are going to suit up. Deebo Samuel yesterday, they said he wasn't going to practice. He strapped up and practiced. These guys are not going to miss this game. Yes, they have some injuries. They are not going to miss this game. This is the biggest game of the season. A little calf injury is not going to stop CMC. I loved it. I love that answer. I love the mentality. CMC is going to play no matter what. And that's the mentality. These guys are hungry. Trent Williams today, he told the media, he says, this is just what he said. And I love this quote. Trent Williams says, we're all starving to win. Everyone wants that ring. I'm sure the Eagles are hungry. I'm sure they're starving. But you can just sense that this 49ers team is hungry. They've been so close. Last year's NFC Championship game stings. It stings, and they want payback. I'm going to add my guest to the show. Let's get him in. There's my boy, Big Rohan. How we doing? How we feeling? What's up?
Hey, how you doing, Raj? Glad to make it. I
I'm
know
good.
the chat's always gonna be popping. It's gonna be fun, man. Let's do it.
Always fun. And before you hopped on, because I was talking about how the Niners are kind of, I guess the word's underdog, but they're being counted out again. Obviously, that's what they're always counted out. The media loves to hate on them. They discredit them. I think 65% of ESPN analysts are choosing the Eagles, and I mean they're the number one seed. I get it, as they should. I heard
Oh
that
no.
you picked against the
Oh
40. So
no.
you're
Oh
picking
no. The
the
chat
Eagles
is already
against the
coming at me.
49. So now I got to ask. So it fits the theme of the show. I didn't know. I didn't even know that you picked against the Niners.
Oh
So
no.
now, adding to that media, Rohan is picking against the 49ers.
Should I
What do you
just
got to
leave the
say?
show now? Am I done for?
No, you are ready to cook, baby. Cook. Let's let Rohan cook. What do you got to say for yourself?
I mean, look, I think uh, because I like to, I'll distance myself from the rest of the media because here's what I'll say. I think a lot of people on both sides, the Eagles and the 49ers, are trying to disregard the opponent by bringing up things in the past, such as the 49ers lost to the Bears, the 49ers got dismantled by the Chiefs, and the Eagles, their earlier losses too, the inexplicable one to the Commanders earlier on in the season, and things like that. And when you talk about it, I think that it's unnecessary when you talk about those losses. To me, in the NFC Championship game, with both teams having done this much to get this far, it is unnecessary and really just it shows a lack of what's really going on right now by bringing up those stats. I think that all of that is irrelevant at this point. The teams that we're playing right now, the teams that are playing right now are different than the teams playing in week 7. The teams playing right now are better or at least more prepared, having gone through the entirety of the season, and better off. The teams right now, regardless of whether you personally think they're better or worse, are a better representation of how the teams are going to play this weekend because that's how they are right now as the season has gone on. So to me, I think that man, I love y'all.
They
I
are
really love this
coming for
chat.
your blood.
But
We
with the
all love you,
teams,
Rohan, but you definitely
oh
stepped
no.
into a nuclear bomb today.
But what I'm trying to say is I think there are too many irrelevant arguments, and we've heard a lot of them, especially against the 49ers for their early season losses. What you have to understand is how the 49ers have gone right now. And while I said that the Eagles would win just right now, being up with the last on this part of this last show that I just had, I did say in respect to 49er fans and everybody in the chat, I did say that the Eagles and the 49ers, I don't really think that I'd be surprised if either team won. There's a reason that the betting line is as the betting line is. The betting line right now is the Eagles favored by 3 points. They give the 3 points for home teams. So
Yeah.
really, it's a draw right now. And we talk position by position, it's pretty clear as to why both teams are the loaded rosters. They are loaded in their respective areas, and they're the two best rosters in the NFC. I know we talked in person and also on stream. I said this before the playoffs began and as the playoffs arrived. In my opinion, there are four contenders in the NFL, and they are the four right now that are standing here. I thought the Eagles were the best, the 49ers were the best, the Bengals were the best, and the Chiefs were the best. Those were the four teams that I thought really could contend in the NFL this year for the Super Bowl. That's how it has happened right now, and there's a reason for that. Now, the unfortunate part for the rest of the guys in the chat, why I picked the Eagles to win at the end of the show, we did a position by position breakdown. To me, there are the three most important positions in football: the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, and then the quarterback. I think the Eagles right now have a slight advantage or a big advantage in some of them. I think they've got the advantage at quarterback. I know a lot of people have brought up an Emmanuel Acho a photograph from ESPN looking at the last seven starts for
Yeah.
each quarterback. And I think that that's an interesting photograph. I also think it's lacking context because the biggest part, not the biggest part, but a vital part of Jalen Hurts' game is the rushing ability that he has, which adds 460 more yards, 62 yards per game in those 7 games. Additionally, it adds the 13 extra touchdowns that he had this year on the ground as opposed to the 22 he had via the air. Overall, Jalen Hurts, that's why I think he has the advantage. It's that rushing ability, regardless of what you think of him as a passer. And he has significantly improved as a passer this year, both in deep ball accuracy and both in really the willingness and aggression that he has, as well as just the overall complexity of him as a receiver, or him as a passer. I think that Jalen Hurts has the advantage. Now, when talking specifically as a passer, I think Hurts has more willingness and aggression to throw deep, and also he is a better deep ball passer at the moment. That's unfortunate because of the better arm strength.
I don't
When
disagree.
you talk about the offensive to end, when you talk about the offensive line and defensive line, Eagles, in my opinion, have the best offensive line in the NFL. Really, four really strong starters in the two tackles in Mailata and the best tackle, right tackle in football, Lane Johnson. Then you've got Jason Kelsey, the best center, and Landon Dickerson. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the part of the reasoning. Like I said, would not be surprised. And I want the 49ers in the Super Bowl because I want to see 49ers and Chiefs. I think that would be the most entertaining Super Bowl possible of the four outcomes. I want the most entertaining round. So that's how I'm feeling right
No, 100%. These teams they're proven. They're the Final Four for a reason. Top to bottom, they have the 49ers have a loaded roster, defense, offense. We kind of expect them to get at least this far, with some of the best players in the league, Bosa, Warner, all these guys in the prime of their career, superstars, Debo at every position. They added CMC, Trent Williams. I agree with you. The Philadelphia Eagles have the best offensive line in the NFL. I'll agree with that. Jalen Hurts, he's a dynamic weapon. But one thing, and he is good. He's been carving up people. He's been an MVP. He's an MVP finalist, and I got to respect it. But one thing people are not mentioning, and it's not a shot to him. It's just he's never been in the NFC Champ. This is his first NFC Championship, just like Brock Purdy. So you have to take that into consideration because, like you said, we can't talk about the past. We can't talk about the old games. You throw all that away. These two teams are 0-0 right now. Jalen Hurts has never played in an NFC Championship. This is his first time. How's he gonna prepare again? D'Amico Ryans, he's been in this situation. They got close last year. Kyle Shanahan, he's got the advantage. He's the head coach. He's the guy. He's been so close. No cigar. It's eating at him. You got players like Trent Williams that want it bad because he's not gonna be playing forever. Like he said today, that they are hungry. This whole team is hungry. I'm sure the Eagles are. You got a guy like Kittle, man, who's been strapping the team on his back. Debo, they got these weapons, and I think Jalen Hurts is phenomenal. The one thing I question is, can the 49ers stop Jalen Hurts? Can they stop that mobile quarterback that's been an Achilles for the 49ers? And I know that mobility, like you said, is something that's going to be a hard time to stop him, but I don't think the Eagles have played a defense like the 49ers. Nobody's as physical as the Niners. Dallas is probably close to us in terms of overall defense, but they're not as physical. They're fast, finesse team. They close those gaps fast, like we saw last week. They were quick, but nobody hits you as hard as the 49ers. And you take a hit by Greenlaw when you're running over that middle, or you take a hit by Jimmy Ward, it's going to leave a little mark. And I think there's going to be a moment where one of those guys, maybe Greenlaw, maybe Hufanga, give him a little shiver, and he might fumble the ball. Once he does that, it's going to change his mindset. Because again, I think he's had a phenomenal season, but he's never been in this situation. So as much pressure as the Niners have and Brock Purdy, I feel that same applies to the Eagles. This is something new for Jalen Hurts. He is definitely great. I think this game comes down to the trenches, like you said, D line versus that O line. I want to see Nick Bosa penetrate that O line and make a move and make a difference. If he can get to Jalen Hurts, it's over. I think that's the key: is getting to Hurts, make him hold the ball a little bit,
I agree.
make him make some bad decisions. And then the other X factor that I have is going to be corner versus wide receiver because AJ Brown, last year we beat the Eagles. They didn't have AJ Brown. AJ Brown's a beast, man, and we got to be able to contain him. Do you think the 49ers are going to be able to scheme up enough to stop AJ Brown on the outside? I think they could stop Devonta Smith, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure they can handle AJ Brown.
I'll say this. I'll say two things. I don't know if they can, but I also don't know if it'll matter.
Mm.
Why do I say that? AJ Brown's a phenomenal player. I gave him heaps of praise earlier this week when I was talking about the best receivers rated. But the reason that I said AJ Brown, it might not matter. The 49ers have been prone to give up 100 yards to receivers on certain occasions this year. DK Metcalf had 100 yards. I think last week, CeeDee Lamb had 100 yards. However, when you talk about the yards and the output from production for number one receivers, as well as the win column, they don't correlate when you face the 49ers defense. Cooper Kupp has been known to get 100 yards against the 49ers, yet the Rams struggle to put up more than 14 points at times when facing the 49ers. What do I mean by this? The 49ers will give up yards. That's not the issue. They will give up yards to number one receivers specifically. but they find a way to shut it down because they give up the yards underneath. The 49ers are good at taking away the explosive plays. Why? The way that they cover, the way that they utilize cover three, which, by the way, the Eagles have significantly, not significantly, but Jalen Hurts is at his worst when facing cover three defenses, and the 49ers play cover three at the highest rate in the NFL. Something to note. But when you talk about A.J. Brown, the 49ers limit explosive plays very well. A.J. Brown had a great year last year. This year is not last year in that the 49ers have different cornerbacks,
Mhm.
Trevarius Ward, Diamante Lenore, and if you play him in the slot, Jimmy Ward is there too. It's
Yeah.
different. But I think that even if A.J. Brown gets 100 yards, if they're in the way that other receivers have gotten them, the underneath plays with maybe one explosive play, I don't know the impact that that will have overall on the game in terms of the amount of scoring that happens. We saw even DK Metcalf burned Travarius Ward. Those were the only 7 points that were really significant against the Seattle Seahawks. There might be that one explosive play. CD Lamb had that huge, amazing catch on Diamante Lenore last week, but really the 49ers have done very good in limiting the explosive plays, especially as the game goes along. And that's why I don't really think that you should really think that that one matchup might be the matchup of the game because of that.
No, 100%. I don't think it's the main the matchup, but it is a
But it
match.
is important to highlight.
No, it
Definitely
is
important
important to
because of
highlight
how good
because
AJ Brown is.
AJ is good. But you're right, and I said that earlier this week when AJ played the Niners last year. We had Josh Norman stop and a rookie Ambry Thomas. Like there's a whole different situation. I mean, AJ was taking advantage of those guys. They're not as good. I mean, he was slow as molasses. AJ Brown, he needed to hit the weight room like I do, So it was a bad matchup for them. And at the end of the day, this year we got a guy DK or Travarius Ward who has stopped DK. And you're right, he had some yards last a couple weeks ago. It was a big explosive play. Other than that, it was just underneath stuff. The one guy that kind of cooked this team was Devontae Adams, but that's Tay. He was the best receiver in the league this year. I'm gonna let that one slide. But otherwise, Mooney's been locking people up. He's been in their head. I feel like if you're right, they play that zone cover, they'll be all right. If they get into that man-to-man situation, that's where they might get a little dangerous. But I feel like our safeties are so good that people aren't talking about that because people say the corner versus wide receiver, but the Niners safeties are so good,
Right.
and Jimmy in the slot has been very, very effective. He can kind of come out and help out. And the linebackers, again, these linebackers, you saw Fred Warner last week. He went stride for stride with CD Lamb. That was incredible. He does that with AJ Brown this week. It's over, man. And this linebacking crew is special. And I think those linebackers are also going to be key in stopping Jalen Hurts. Maybe acting as a spy, maybe even a Hufanga, who can be that hybrid kind of guy. If you spy Jalen, he's going to not want to tuck it and run because they're going to try to use that RPO. They're going to want to, tuck it, run, tuck it, pass. That's what they do. So if we can get a spy and limit that, it's really going to confuse them. And then if we just keep running the ball and tire them out through 4 quarters, I don't know if the Eagles have enough stamina to last the game. As long as we keep it close, if we have to start coming back, it might be a different story. But if the Niners keep it close and they're just pounding them, I don't know if the Eagles have enough strength to stick with us on offense. I mean, their O line is stout, but you got Bosa coming at you every single play. Eventually, they're going to wear down, in my opinion. I think somebody on that line is going to wear down. And Arik Armstead, that's the guy that's not getting enough talk. Like that, to me, that Kelsey Armstead matchup is going to be Mike Tyson Holyfield. That's going to be a heavyweight fight. To me, that is the key matchup. Armstead Kelsey. That is it to me. That is the number one matchup in this entire game.
I think that that's a very interesting matchup. To me, where I want to look and where I think it might be my matchup of the game, I'll say, is the matchup we haven't talked about, but on the flip side. Eagles defensive line versus the 49ers offensive line.
Mm.
A lot of people have tried to create arguments for both sides. A lot of people have said 49ers offensive line, they can be moved on. That's not a big deal. A lot of people have tried to discredit the Eagles.
Mm.
The Eagles are the best, in my opinion, the best defensive line in NFL. San Francisco comes in right there at number 2. I think I said in my article this week it was a toss up. The reason though, the Eagles, they have 7 players that have been like elite.
Yeah.
And when you talk about it, we talk about depth, right, for the 49ers and the depth being there and really filling their roles for the 49ers. The Eagles had 4 players over 10 sacks this year.
Yeah.
Over 10 sacks. That is incredible. Their entire starting lineup had over 10 sacks. Their entire starting 4 had more sacks than the 49ers had this year. That is crazy. And I'm not trying to say anything negative of the 49ers because I just said it's a toss up because the 49ers are really good at stopping the run because their defensive linemen do so well that their linebackers can fill in the gaps and just do their jobs. But when you talk about pass rush, the Eagles are by far the best pass rush this year with the 70 sacks, with the pressure rates and things like that, with the amount of sacks they've had. The 49ers offensive line has done well in pass protection, but they have also struggled at times. And against a caliber where it might be tough to command double teams on certain players because you have so many one-on-one matchups that are so good, I think that you've got to respect that. And we saw last week, Brock Purdy got flustered a little bit when that pressure came. I saw the statistic. He got pressured on 48.5% of his dropbacks. I think that number is flawed. I think the offensive line did better than what you thought with that 48.5% number. But what Brock Purdy did was one of two things. One, you saw him bail a pocket early a lot. Even when the pocket was clean when he should have stepped up or stepped to the right, he tried to step to the left. What was Dallas's counter? They had a defensive lineman sometimes on these stunts go from the right side, go all the way around, and not try and crush in on the inside. No, he went to the outside because that's where Brock Purdy goes when he shifts to the left. So he shifted too much. He bails the pocket way too early on some plays, and that puts his offensive lineman in a bad position. Why? Because when you bail outside, the offensive line on the outside, the tackles, their job is to push defenders outside. So you create space on the inside of the pocket, so you step up to make plays. Purdy doesn't benefit his offensive lineman when he moves outside because it puts him right where the defenders are, and that creates unfavorable situations. And so when you saw that last week, you saw the amount of missed opportunities. I put it on film, and that's where you might see the Eagles give the same issues to Brock Purdy. Now, Purdy, we've got to talk about what happened last week, too, in the second half. The 49ers stepped up, started running the football more effectively, and as a result, Purdy played a better game
Yeah.
because guess what? The Eagles had to respect the run a lot more. And the Purdy just played a better game. The 49ers started executing better, and you see him improve as the game goes along. Now, when does the flustering moment happen? When does the improvement moment happen? Depending on when the timelines are for those two parts, I think that could determine the outcome of the game because I think it. I mean, when it comes down to it, quarterback play is vital when you talk
Mm.
about how the game ends. And I think that the 49ers, well, right now, while they have the disadvantage, they have the amount of surrounding cast to where, they put up a good fight for sure. And they've got really good weapons.
No, 100%. And I agree because that Eagles D line, it is ferocious. Like you said, like 10, 7. If you break that down, a lot of those I feel came because they had big leads. So when you have a big lead, obviously you're just going to put pressure. You're going to put pressure. Teams have to throw. They're fleet-footed, and then you're going to get. But hey, 70 sacks, 70 sacks. That's an incredible mark. That's a lot of pressure. And you're right. If Brock's going to be running, and when he runs out to the left and flushes out, if you flush out right into a lineman, you're going down. So definitely they have to run the ball. That's what we've been saying. If they can continue to stack that ball, or if they can continue to run the ball effectively, that's going to force the Eagles to stack the box, and then that's when Purdy can hit him over the middle with Kittle and everything. But again, he's got to be calm. He's got to be collected, and I feel like he has really been calm this whole season. But one thing for sure is last week definitely was his his biggest test. Dallas was his biggest
Correct.
test, and I'm glad that he had this test before the Eagles because I think he needed this type of game to look at the film and say, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? Because Philadelphia plays a very tough, physical brand of football, kind of like the Niners, and they're going to bring pressure. And Brock saw a lot of pressure on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. So I feel like this was a good test, a good litmus test for him. And he's got to clean it up because there was a few turnover-worthy plays where had it gone the other way, it might have went to another favor. So he's got to, and I'm sure the Eagles are really hoping they can force those moments. And I don't think their corners are going to be dropping that like Diggs. If they
Right.
force us to make
That's
those throws
important to
to
know.
Slay, definitely they're going to be opportunistic. But I think the Niners O-line is a little underrated coming into this game, and you hit a little bit on it. But it really depends on how good their protection could be. We all know Trent Williams, masterclass. He shut down Parsons. We know it. But can the rest of that line be as effective? And they're going to come to the right side because if there is a weak link on this Niners O-line, we all know, number 69, his pass protection.
Hey, I'll say this. Do not respect my man 69. Do not disrespect my man 69. 69 did not play that bad last week.
I know. I'm saying. I was getting there. I was saying he actually
Go
has
for it.
stepped up. But traditionally, pass protection has been his Achilles. And if they
Correct.
stuff and load him, he's got to hold up. He did a very good job last week, and I got to give him his flowers for that. His run defense is great. There was that play, the touchdown, CMC. He went and blocked two guys. He threw one guy down, threw the other guy down. Here comes CMC, and I was like, okay, that was a beautiful play. He stepped up. The criticism, bullying is obviously working for this man, if you look at it that way. But he has a big test. This is going to be his biggest test of the season, just like Brock Purdy. So, in a way, you're right. The trenches is going to dictate this game. Unlike you, though, Rohan, I'm picking the Niners to win this game. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one. I just hope we extend our season another couple weeks, man.
I agree. And I want it. I told you, it's the most entertaining matchup if the 49ers and Chiefs play out of the 4 potential matchups. But I do want to say this about Purdy and the conversation about Hurts. I think it's unfair to Purdy about the unrealistic expectations that people are setting, especially when you do this comparison with Hurts, statistically or however. Because right now, Purdy is playing and executing at a level that is good enough for the 49ers to win games. You don't necessarily need a level higher than that. But by comparing him to Hurts, by potentially saying him as being the better option than Jalen Hurts, then when you understand the circumstances that come around it that might cause Brock Purdy to play worse than Jalen Hurts in this game, then there comes the amount of criticism towards Brock Purdy. And it's unfair criticism because that's not the standard that he should be acquired to play. Jalen Hurts has that dual threat ability. Jalen Hurts has a different element to his game. But with the misreporting sometimes that people put out, people don't understand the differences between the quarterbacks and overrate Brock Purdy, or at least set his expectations way too high, and that is what sometimes causes the downfall when you don't see what you want to see necessarily when it comes to game time. But we've seen how the 49ers can win when they play turnover-free football. And the thing that I think I'll do, because I do have to get going in a few minutes, thing I do have to say, keys to win for both teams, especially with the 49ers. Well, number one, the turnover battle. The 49ers have won the turnover battle 12 times this year. 12 times. That's phenomenal, by the way. That's why they lead the turnover differential in the entire NFL. They've won the turnover battle 12 times this year, won every single game that they've won the turnover battle. They won it against Dallas last week, 2-1. That's going to be the biggest part. If the 49ers can win the turnover battle, the 49ers can win this game. And they produce turnovers at a high rate while also not turning the football over. But I think it's also going to depend on who's going to get the better run game. Philadelphia is coming off a game where they ran for almost 250 yards on the ground. That is phenomenal. And they've got Jalen Hurts, which is a big part of that run game. How do the 49ers, or how are they able to contain Jalen Hurts? I was watching some clips on Twitter today from Rich Madrid, and he talked about how the gap exchanges might keep you worried for the 49ers because they don't necessarily excel in that category. And that's what you need to succeed against these rushing quarterbacks. So we'll see how they come prepared come game day. But if they can stop that run with Philly while also keeping up the run game that they've had the past 2 weeks, rushing for over 30 attempts, well, even if it's not necessarily to the efficiency that you want, churning enough, I think that that's valuable. When we saw it last week against Dallas, the 49ers only ran for 3.5 yards per game, per attempt. But when you saw in that second half, even though it was low efficiency, you saw those 3.3 yard gains, those 4 yard gains, those well blocked plays. All you need is an extended drive where the 49ers can crush it down. And then that drive ended up becoming the lone touchdown drive, and the 49ers, they win by a touchdown. So it's important to note all of that part because those are the key factors for this game.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Last couple of things. I know you got to go. You're right. If they can establish that run, because that's kind of when they started turning things around. They were getting Mitchell out there, and CMC was starting to get some big gaps and running through those. That's the key. Obviously, we know Niners got to run. But again, Dallas was so fast closing everything up. So I think as the game went on, they were getting tired, and the 49ers were able to impose their will. But one thing I want to say on this game, as far as Brock Purdy, is he just got to get the ball to those players, CMC and Debo and all those guys, his facilitators, right? If he can get the ball in their hands and not turn the ball over, we're golden. And you're right. You hit the nail on the head. Turnovers wins this game. That's what the Niners have been doing. They've been getting the turnover battle. They've been opportunistic. And I know last week the Eagles ran all over the Giants, and that was why they won, because you run the football in the playoffs, you're going to win. But the 49ers, their run defense is a lot better than the Giants, and they're not going to. I think the stat was, I think Sunday Night Football posted this, or there was a stat out there. They haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher since Justin Fields not this season, the
Right.
previous season.
Right. A single rusher. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you don't include that game, I think the number's around like 60 yards.
Yeah.
I know Kenneth Walker had like 72, but regardless, it's high. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Niners, so as much as the Niners are going to have their work cut out for them, Eagles have their work cut out for them too. They want to run for 200 yards. It's going to take a lot of work to do it on the Niners, because you got these linebackers that fly to the ball. Now, before you leave, I got to ask you, what's a bold prediction for this game, and who's the ultimate X factor for you?
All right. I'll save the bold prediction. Let's go with the X factor first, because I think the X factor is interesting. Last week I said I believe Brandon Ayuk offensively, which didn't necessarily pan out, but I thought it would. And then I think, who did I say? It was Brandon Ayuk and Nick Bosa. And Nick Bosa came through. He probably had his best game in the past month, in the past 3 games, with the way that he played. And Nick Bosa came through. I think in this game, we've got to go offensive line with Big Mike McGlinchey. Why? Because now it was one-on-one matchups last week, and I do think that that's huge. And I think that Mike McGlinchey had a good game. He had in some reps. He definitely got beat. We all saw the screenshot. He got beat, but he had some really good reps in the run game, paved the way for some big Niner runs. And then he also had some good reps against Micah Parsons in the passing game when the 49ers were getting the ball moving. I think if he can hold on, and if obviously Trent Williams can hold on, you got the tackles working, gives Brock Purdy even a little more space, even when he wants to do that left or right shift just a little bit. And then, bold prediction. This one's going to be tough. I will say the 49ers. Bold prediction. What do I go with? I will say the 49ers leading receiver in this game, I think it's going to be either a tight end or a running back. I think it's going to be McCaffrey or George Kittle. Okay. I don't think it'll be a receiver. I think that they're going to try and target the middle of the field. I don't know if it's necessarily bold, given the way the Eagles have James Bradbury and Darius Slay.
Yeah.
But the Eagles love quarters coverage. The Eagles love dropping those cornerbacks back. I personally don't understand it, but that means a lot of the underneath stuff is going to be open. It's up to Brock Purdy. Can he hit the underneath stuff? And I think that with the way Shanahan's going to be able to scheme it, I think that he's going to look towards that middle of the field, try and exploit those linebackers sometimes, and also look at the running backs. So I think that that's what I'm going to say.
I like that, because I think I was expecting Debo to have a big game, maybe a running game, but you're right. They're going to utilize those screen plays and those check downs and beat them over the middle, because Philly's not going to give anything over the top on the edges. So that's a good pick. And I like that Mike McGlinchey X Factor pick, because like we talked about, the pass rush of the Eagles, they have 70 sacks. So we got to hold it.
Right.
We got to hold it down in the pass rush. So I like those picks. But any last things you want to say? Anything you got to tell the faithful before you head out, my boy?
Hey, Niner Bears, I love y'all. I know y'all know that. I love y'all. I know y'all hating on me today. Y'all probably gonna hate on me until the weekend, until the game. Look, if my prediction doesn't come true, I'm gonna be happy, because I want to see a Niners Super Bowl and a Niners Chiefs Super Bowl. So I will come on to Raj's show next week, and y'all can all lay down the wood on me, regardless of what happens. Y'all can all lay down the wood. But y'all know I really appreciate y'all, because you guys obviously help me do what I do, help watch my stuff, and help support the channel. So I really appreciate you guys so much. Raj, obviously, thank you for the opportunity to come on the show.
Always, man. And you're right. You are definitely coming back next week, win or lose. And
I know you're gonna make me.
Receipts.
I know you're gonna make me.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely you're obligated to come back next week. We have the receipts. So if and when the Niners win on Sunday, boy, we pulling every single receipt on you. But we love you, Rohan. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Have a good weekend, and go Niners, baby.
Hey, I'll see you next time.
All right, take care, my boy. Let's go. Man, that fit perfectly with our theme today, because we are the underdog. We're counted out. If Rohan writes for 49ers Web Zone, he covers the 49ers. He gets paid to write about the 49ers, and he's picking against the San Francisco 49ers. That is crazy to me, crazy to me. I love him though. You got to respect his opinions. He's a smart young man. I've talked with him a lot. We hang out. Last week he came back to the Bay before he went out to school. Went back to school, and we went out to dinner. Hung out. Good dude. Good young man. This guy's got a bright future ahead of him. So smart. Awesome kid. So I'll forgive him for going against the Niners, but he gonna learn on Sunday. That boy's about to learn. I'm hyped up. I can't wait for Sunday. Bert says he's just following the Vegas line. He probably is. But it's crazy because they're a 3-point favorite at home. So that just tells you, you get 3 points for being the home team. So it's literally, it's a pick 'em. This is a pick 'em game. This is an even match game. It's a pick 'em. Vegas is like, we don't know what the hell's going to happen. Take your money. So Raj says Rohan hangs with Grant Cohn. That's why he picked it. He hangs with me too, though. And maybe Grant has a bigger influence on him than me. So that's probably what happened. He's gonna slide with Grant instead of me. But that's cool. I just gotta pepper him a little bit. I gotta influence him a little bit more. I guess I'm not influencing him enough, but it's gonna be fun, man. I'll take a few more questions before we end out tonight. Appreciate you guys for hopping on the stream. As always, I love you guys. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. We gotta keep rolling. Instagram, YouTube, we keep it rolling. Twitter, you know the vibes. Vegas does not like losing either. Is Smitty in the chat? Is Smitty in the building? Smitty's in? Oh, my God. Fantasy football show. Smitty, if you need in, do you want to hop on the show real quick? You got 5 minutes to end the show? Let me know. I'll give you the link. Hop on if you can, my boy. Oh, man. What is my favorite game this season? Honestly, my favorite game so far this season was that Cowboys game. It was incredible. The vibe was electric. I'm going to take a 30-second break. We're going to pause. We're going to give Smitty the link, and we'll be right back. Back. We just sent the link to Smitty. We're gonna come back. You know, Smitty's got to have something to say about this. Let's see. Where's he at? Let's see.
Bro,
what's up, my boy?
I thought I was the most uncomfortable person in the room. I think I give him more of a shot than Rohan.
I know you really did, bro. I couldn't believe, bro. I started the stream and everybody's like, you got to have Rohan on the chat. And it's so funny because I texted him before I started. I was like, hey, you got any time to hop on tonight, right? He goes, sure, man, anything. And I was like, all right, be there top of the hour at 6. I hop in the show and everybody's like, yo, did you hear what Rohan said? Did you hear what Rohan said? I was like, what did he say? That the Eagles are winning. I was like, no. So we get him, and I actually had him pegged as a guest, so it worked out perfect. Bro, they went in on him. You know how it goes, dude. They got the receipts on my boy.
I thought I was standing alone. Look, I think I get a better shot than him. I still think it's going to come down to like a defensive touchdown or something. So I don't know. I'm not claiming that the Eagles are going to, for sure win or anything. It's going to be so close. So I don't even. I'm real excited about both games, bro. I don't think anybody knows who's going to be in the Super Bowl. My projection is the Eagles versus the Bengals, but it could be the Chiefs versus the Niners, bro. It's such an awesome matchup.
It's going to be crazy, man. This is going to be the game of the year, honestly. Like, I'm not nervous. I'm anxious, but as the days get closer, I'm just like, my stomach is like sick. It's turning. It's just like, God, man, because if we win this game, the Niners are in the fucking Super Bowl. Like, holy jeez, that's amazing. And if we lose this game, it's off-season content, and I'm not ready for that, man. It's just like, oh, man, I don't know. Gamer Dude, I appreciate you. Thank you for all the kind words. He says he's new to the YouTube. I appreciate you, Gamer Dude, for the kind words, and everybody else as well. But, yeah, dude, I am
bro,
I'm sick, bro.
Yeah, the difference in content too. Like if Purdy loses this game, then and I'm not trying to put bad vibes out there. I'm saying if
No,
he
I get it.
let me start the positive. If he wins the game, it's like the offseason content and narrative is going to be Purdy's the guy. If he loses this game, the offseason narrative is going to be, is it Trey or Purdy?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's so crazy how one game, because if you make the Super Bowl and lose, like Purdy's still probably going to be the guy. Like he's
Yeah.
a huge advantage. If he goes out and gets worked by that Philly D, it's just a different narrative. One game can change the trajectory of the
No,
entire.
and you know, you're so right, Smitty. I was sitting there thinking today, and I was like, I actually had literally a similar thought. I was like, God dang it, dude! If the Niners lose this game, it's going to be literally the next day. There's going to be people posting, Bleacher Report, PF, all the big sports pages are going to be posting who will be the 49ers quarterback. And I can already see it, like it's already going to be this big story. If the Niners go on to the Super Bowl and win it, it's just like there's no story. It's, oh my God, Brock Purdy. It's Mr. Irrelevant. Like dude, it's one game has so much bearing on our whole offseason. The content's going to be dictated by this game, man. And as a fan of this team who's been, loving this team his whole life, it's like, I just want to see this team win a Super Bowl finally. And the last time I saw him, I was a young buck. I was 10 years old. So, like, you forget that feeling. And when you're an adult, it's a whole different feeling to see a championship than when you're younger. It's a whole different vibe. So,
and I know what it's like to lose in the Super Bowl, with that San Antonio Holmes catch and like the Cardinals, like I felt like a year ago, not this past season, but 2021, we were there. It felt like when we were the last undefeated team, we're the best team of football through, what was it, week 8? And it was like, just completely fell apart. Like, we've had such heartbreak here. And the Suns, bro, Suns in 4, like we constantly get really, and then we just collapse, bro.
Smitty, I know all about heartbreak. Trust me, I'm a Niners fan. We've been so last year, NFC Championship. Are you kidding me? 2019, Kyle Williams, all these years before, like so many years where we've been so close, no cigar. We went through like dog years. You know how it is. This is how it goes. Susan says, actually, if we lose this game, it's going to be Purdy was never that good. The narrative will switch on because right now everybody's like, oh, the story of Purdy.
Right.
She might be right. It might be like, oh, is he even that good? Was he lucky? Was he getting carried by the team? Because there are already people throwing those comments out. It's like, is Purdy even that good? Oh, he's getting carried. He's just in the right situation at the right time. Like, that's another narrative. Susan's right. That's another narrative that's going to cover through the off season. Yeah, 100%.
It's night and day if Purdy wins this game or not. Night and day, man. It's there. There's no way you're not going to see at least 40% of them. And we're talking about Niner community. We're not. No one even cares outside the Niner community right now about that debate. If as soon as the game ends, if it's a win, Purdy's Brady. It's Brock Brady. Brock Brady immediately.
Yeah, no, 100%, my boy.
And if he loses, it's going to be 40% of the Niner fan base is going to say Trey. Then it's going to be Trey's a bust, and then it's like Purdy. Then it's going to be Tom Brady, and it's going to be the Tom Brady conversations will be in high gear if this game is not a W. It's gonna get crazy. But you know what? That's what I live for. I absolutely love it.
I know you love it. You're waiting for this. See, that's why you want the Niners to lose, because you want the content. I get it.
I mean, partly I'm excited about if either happens.
You don't gotta lie to me. I know, Smitty. I get it. But hey, one thing I want to say though is, dude, you've seen it just as much as me. The media is just so negative to the Niners. Like, what's your take on the media just hating on it? Like, is it's not just this year. Every year you see it. Every year, you know me. We kind of cover this team pretty closely because you know me. Like, what is the deal with the media and the 49ers? I don't think any other team gets this much nonsense pushed on them than the Niners.
I think it's only because you don't have a quarterback. I think everyone's in love with the quarterback. I think that you've seen people also jump on the Niner train too. Like, media has jumped on you guys, best defense in the league, and they act like they didn't say different later or earlier. But I think it comes down to you got Brady, you got Mahomes, you got Jalen Hurts, you got 3 quarterbacks, and Brock Purdy in most people's mind is not in the ballpark of those guys.
Oh, you mean Burrow, not Brady. You said Burrow.
Sorry, Burrow, Mahomes, Hurts, and then you got Brock Purdy. And so, like, it's just not as good of a story for the media And so I think that's naturally what it is. If you guys got Tom Brady, it'd be all Niners, Niners are this, Niners are that. So I think it just comes down to the quarterbacks.
That's a good take on it. I like that. I think that's a true statement because if you stack up Purdy to the other three quarterbacks, you're like, it's going to be like, okay, one of these guys don't belong. It makes sense because he hasn't established himself. He's on this magical run, and it's like, is he that guy or is he just on this match? We don't know because you got Mahomes has established himself. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Burrow, he's Mr. Clutch. He looks like he's the next big thing. He's the guy. And then Jalen Hurts, he's on the cusp right now. And you could tell the NFL wants him. The NFL wants Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl because he's got a superstar kind of vibe. They want him in this Super Bowl so bad. They want him in there.
Yeah, he's exciting, bro. He's exciting.
But one thing, I know you got to go. I know you're eating. You're always on the go. This is Jalen Hurts' first NFC Championship game, just like it's Brock Purdy. So people got to remember that.
Again, you guys have Zinburger where you are?
Who?
Zinburger?
No. This man always on the go.
Zinburger, it's like a really good hamburger and chicken sandwich. And
when I come to Arizona, Smitty, when I come to Arizona, you take me to your favorite restaurant. I talked to Learn. He says we're going to Lou Papachotti's.
Yeah, we'll go there.
Okay. Smitty about to make me gain 40 pounds on one weekend when I go. We're going to go to every food spot. I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, and also I got a little. Go outside real quick. I got a little. I have a little news brewing too. I'll tell you about it later.
Oh, okay. Hit me up. Maybe we'll go live later. But
maybe I'll tell you on IG.
Okay, we'll hop on the later. I know you got to eat. You're making me hungry. I saw the burger sign. I'm starving now, Smitty. I need to get some food. I love you, man. They said I came back looking like Fred Warner. Appreciate it. No, they said VZ says I gonna come back looking like Fred Warner. So when I go to Arizona and I come back, I'm gonna look all bulked up like Fred Warner. You're gonna have me putting on the weight. I need it.
We'll get you bulked up.
Get me the food, man. I look malnourished sometimes. People tell me I'm not, but
All right. Are you out of here?
I'm gonna sign off and then I'm gonna eat.
Okay. All right. I'll see you on Instagram later.
I appreciate you, Smitty. Have a good rest of your night. I'll see you soon. All right, my fellows, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hopping on. It's a good show tonight. Rohan, if you're still watching, appreciate you. If you're not, appreciate you. Smitty, appreciate you for hopping in. Always good to have the guests. I love the chat. You guys are great. Always respect you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Riddy Music, appreciate you, man. Thank you for all the great comments in the chat. Everybody. Eddie Lacy. I'm going to look like Eddie Lacy. Cheeseburger Eddie. You can call me Cheeseburger Raj. Cheeseburger Raj. Oh, man. Appreciate you. VZ, always, man. I try to get to the comments as much as I can. Not always that easy, but I try my best for y'all. I love y'all. Smash the like button. Niners on top. Sunday, we coming for blood. Let's go. Real quick, I got one more comment from Terrence. He says, I think we should be on defense first to start the game off because we start better that way. I agree. I like getting the ball in the second half. I hope we can get the ball in the second half. But Salvador says, am I going live later? You know the vibes. We going live on IG later. Is that even a question? I need to get some food in my stomach. My daughter's probably hungry. She just finished her homework. So we're going to go eat. I love you guys. We'll be live a little later on IG. Appreciate y'all. Bang, bang. And again.